Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the chaos of life? Do you ever wonder how some people seem to maintain control over their emotions, actions, and decisions, no matter what life throws at them? How do they master themselves while others struggle? The answer lies within mastering your own mind, your emotions, and your reactions. Imagine this. You're having a busy day, juggling tasks, trying to meet deadlines, and dealing with unexpected challenges. In the midst of all this, you feel your mind racing, emotions rising, and frustration building up. But instead of reacting, you pause, take a deep breath, and find peace within yourself. What if you could do this every day? What if you could master the art of remaining calm, focused, and in control, no matter what happens around you? Welcome to Wisdom Woven. In this video, we will explore how to master yourself, drawing from the wisdom of Buddhism, and how you can use this ancient knowledge to transform your life. If you're tired of feeling overwhelmed, uncertain, or disconnected from your true self, you're in the right place. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll gain access to life-changing insights that can help you take control of your destiny. Don't miss out on this transformative journey. In the next few minutes, we'll dive deep into the core teachings that can help you become the master of your own mind and life. Whether you're dealing with stress, self-doubt, or uncertainty, Buddhism offers practical solutions that can guide you towards true mastery. Stay with us as we uncover these timeless principles together. Understanding the nature of the self. The first step in mastering yourself is to understand who you truly are. What is the self? We often identify ourselves by our thoughts, feelings, experiences, and even by what others say about us. But this is just a surface-level understanding. The true self is not limited to these fleeting thoughts or external labels. It is deeper, more profound. Think about how you feel when you hear something unpleasant about yourself. Maybe someone criticizes you or misunderstands you. In that moment, you might feel hurt, defensive, or angry. But is that the true essence of who you are? Or is it just your thoughts and emotions reacting to the situation? The person who is criticizing you is not seeing your true self. They are only perceiving a part of you, shaped by their own thoughts and experiences. When you begin to see yourself without the layers of judgments, labels, and expectations, you begin to understand the true nature of your being. In Buddhism, this is referred to as the concept of anatta, or no self. It teaches that the idea of a permanent, unchanging self is an illusion. Our thoughts, emotions, and experiences constantly change, like waves on the surface of the ocean. But beneath these waves, there is a stillness, a deep, unshakable nature. This is who we truly are, free from all the mental noise and worldly distractions. Imagine a tree. Its branches may bend with the wind. Its leaves may fall and grow again. But its core remains unchanged. It adapts to the seasons, but its essence stays the same. Similarly, we, too, are ever-changing beings, but at our core, we are beyond the fluctuations of the mind and body. When we identify with this deeper nature, we free ourselves from the grip of external circumstances. This understanding is the foundation of self-mastery. Without it, we may feel trapped by our emotions, reactions, and thoughts. We may constantly seek validation from others or try to protect our fragile sense of self. But when we realize that we are not our thoughts or our reactions, we stop clinging to these things. We let go of the need for approval, the fear of judgment, and the attachment to past identities. We begin to live with a sense of freedom, rooted in our true essence. A practical way to begin understanding the nature of the self is through mindfulness. By paying attention to your thoughts and emotions without judgment, you start to see that they are not you. They come and go like clouds in the sky, but you, the observer, remain constant. You may experience anger, sadness, or happiness, but these emotions do not define you. You are the one who notices them, who observes them, and who can choose how to respond. In your daily life, practice observing your thoughts and emotions with curiosity, rather than attachment. When a strong emotion arises, like anger or fear, simply notice it. Don't judge it. Don't try to push it away or cling to it. Just observe it as you would observe a passing cloud. This simple practice can help you detach from your emotions and gain clarity about your true self. When you understand that the self is not fixed, but ever-changing, you begin to stop identifying with your past mistakes, regrets, or achievements. You stop defining yourself by what has happened to you or by what others think of you. This doesn't mean that you disregard your past experiences, but you no longer allow them to control your present. You are free to be who you are in this moment, without the baggage of past identities. As you continue on the path of self-mastery, you will notice that you begin to respond to situations with more clarity and wisdom. Instead of reacting out of habit or emotion, you begin to respond from a place of understanding and compassion. You are no longer a slave to your mind and emotions. You are the master, calmly observing and choosing how to act. The path to self-mastery is not about eliminating your thoughts or emotions. It's about understanding them and not allowing them to define you. It's about finding a deeper connection with your true nature, which is calm, clear, and full of wisdom. With this understanding, you can approach each moment with a sense of peace, regardless of the external circumstances. One of the greatest challenges in mastering the self is letting go of the ego. The ego is that part of us that wants to be seen, heard, and validated. It seeks approval from others and clings to the idea of being special or important. But the more we cling to the ego, the more we distance ourselves from our true self. The ego thrives on separation, on the idea that I am different from you, or I am better than you. But when we understand the true nature of the self, we see that there is no need for comparison. We are all part of the same whole, interconnected and equal. Let go of the need to prove yourself. You don't need to be anyone other than who you are in this moment. When you stop striving to be something you're not, you release the heavy burden of the ego and step into the freedom of your true self. You become like the tree that bends in the wind, yet remains rooted in the earth. You become unshaken, no matter the challenges you face. When you let go of the ego and begin to live from your true nature, you experience a profound sense of peace. This peace doesn't come from external circumstances, but from within. It's a deep, abiding stillness that is always present, even when the mind is busy or the world around you is chaotic. By understanding the nature of the self, you begin to let go of unnecessary attachments and desires. You realize that nothing in the external world can truly satisfy you, because your true self is beyond all things. The constant chase for material possessions, approval, and success fades away as you realize that the only thing that truly matters is connecting with your true nature. This understanding doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and practice, but the more you meditate on the nature of the self, the more you will begin to experience its truth. Start by observing your thoughts without attachment. Notice how they come and go. Then, begin to question the validity of the labels and judgments you place on yourself. Who are you without these labels? Who are you beyond the roles you play in life? By constantly returning to this understanding, you begin to free yourself from the limitations of the mind. You realize that you are not defined by your thoughts, feelings, or experiences. You are the awareness behind them, the observer of all things. When you master this understanding, you master yourself. You become free, peaceful, and truly empowered. The power of mindfulness and self-mastery. The mind is like a river, constantly flowing, rushing, and changing. But what happens when you try to control the river? It becomes turbulent and chaotic. The more you fight the current, the more it pushes back. This is what happens when we try to control our thoughts and emotions through force. Instead, mindfulness teaches us to sit by the river and observe. We don't need to control the flow, we simply need to understand it. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment. It's not about trying to change anything, but about noticing things as they are. When we are mindful, we stop living in our heads, lost in thoughts of the past or future. We return to the here and now. We begin to notice the sounds around us, the sensations in our body, and the feelings within us. This awareness opens the door to true self-mastery. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Perhaps it was at work, or in a conversation that got heated. In those moments, you might have felt like your emotions took over. This is because our minds often react automatically, without us being aware of it. But mindfulness helps us to break this automatic reaction. It gives us the space to pause, to breathe, and to respond with clarity instead of reacting out of habit. To practice mindfulness, start with small moments. When you wake up, take a moment to just be present. Feel the air as it touches your skin. Notice your breath as it enters and leaves your body. In the middle of your day, pause for a moment. Stop what you are doing and pay attention to how you're feeling. Are you stressed? Are you relaxed? Are you carrying tension in your body? Simply notice it, without judgment. When you practice mindfulness regularly, you start to notice the patterns in your thoughts. You see how your mind tends to wander, how it clings to worries, or how it rushes to judgment. This awareness is the first step in mastering your mind. Instead of being controlled by your thoughts, you begin to have control over them. You can choose which thoughts to follow and which to let go of. Mindfulness also helps you become aware of your emotions. Have you ever noticed how quickly anger can arise in certain situations? Or how fear can grip you when faced with uncertainty? Emotions often come and go, but because we are not paying attention, we allow them to control us. But mindfulness allows you to observe emotions without being swept away by them. You can acknowledge your feelings without letting them dictate your actions. It's like standing by the river and watching the current. You see the water moving, but you don't get caught in it. You remain grounded on the shore. In the same way, mindfulness helps you stand firm, observing your thoughts and emotions without being swept away by them. Mindfulness also helps in how we interact with others. How often do we listen to someone only to think about what we're going to say next? How often do we judge others based on their words or actions without truly understanding them? When we practice mindfulness in our interactions, we become better listeners. We stop focusing on ourselves and start paying attention to the other person. This leads to deeper, more meaningful connections. For example, imagine you're having a conversation with a friend. They are sharing something important with you, but instead of truly listening, your mind is already thinking about your response. You're not fully present. But when you practice mindfulness, you can listen deeply. You hear not just the words, but the emotions behind them. You understand their perspective more clearly, and your response comes from a place of understanding, not from ego or assumption. The practice of mindfulness can be applied to every part of your life. Whether you're eating, walking, working, or even washing the dishes, you can bring your full attention to the task at hand. This helps you feel more connected to your life and reduces feelings of stress or anxiety. When you focus on the present moment, you let go of worries about the past or future. You begin to appreciate life as it is, without needing it to be any different. This is the power of mindfulness. It anchors you in the present, helping you to become aware of the constant flow of thoughts, emotions, and sensations. It teaches you that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the observer, the one who can choose how to respond. In the Buddhist tradition, mindfulness is one of the key practices for developing wisdom. By being mindful, we can see things clearly. We begin to notice how much of our suffering is caused by our attachment to thoughts and emotions. We realize that when we let go of these attachments, we can experience true peace. Mindfulness is not just a practice, it is a way of life. It is a constant reminder to stay awake, to be present, and to fully experience each moment. It teaches us that we don't need to seek happiness in the future or in external things. Happiness can be found right here, in this moment, if we only pay attention. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you may begin to notice a shift. You'll start to feel more in control of your thoughts and emotions. You'll experience moments of deep calm, even in the midst of chaos. Your relationships will improve as you become more present with others. And you'll develop a greater sense of gratitude for the simple moments in life. Mindfulness is the gateway to self-mastery because it teaches you to be aware of what is happening in your mind and heart. It shows you that you have the power to choose how you respond to life. Instead of reacting out of habit, you can respond with awareness, compassion, and wisdom. If you're new to mindfulness, start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Begin with a few minutes each day. As you become more comfortable, you can expand your practice. The key is consistency. The more you practice, the more natural it will become to live mindfully. Remember, mindfulness is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up for your life, moment by moment. It's about embracing the simplicity of being. When you practice mindfulness, you are training your mind to be free from distractions, free from the pull of the past and future, and free from the grasp of your emotions. Through mindfulness, you become the master of your mind. You stop being controlled by external circumstances and begin to create your own inner peace. You cultivate a deep understanding of yourself and the world around you. And most importantly, you learn to live fully, right here, right now. In the next part, we will explore how to go even deeper into the practice of self-mastery. But for now, let mindfulness guide you toward a life of greater clarity, peace, and balance. Overcoming cravings and attachments. In the search for peace and mastery over oneself, we must first understand one powerful force that keeps us bound to the cycle of suffering, our cravings and attachments. These desires, whether big or small, have the ability to control our thoughts, actions, and emotions. They seem so innocent at first, but in reality, they chain us to a life of dissatisfaction and longing. Think of a time when you wanted something deeply. It could be a material possession, a specific outcome, or even the approval of others. When you didn't get it, how did you feel? Perhaps you felt disappointed, frustrated, or empty. Or when you finally got what you wanted, did the satisfaction last? Often, after a moment of happiness, there is a longing for more, a new desire that arises. This constant cycle of craving and temporary satisfaction is what keeps us trapped. Craving is like a fire. It might start small, but it can grow and consume everything in its path. When we desire something too much, we attach ourselves to the idea of it. We start thinking, I must have this to be happy. Without this, I am incomplete. But as soon as we attach our happiness to an external object or outcome, we create suffering for ourselves. If we get what we want, we feel temporarily satisfied, but it doesn't last. If we don't get it, we suffer even more. In Buddhism, this is called dukkha, or suffering. It arises from our attachment to things that are temporary. Our cravings pull us away from the present moment, making us constantly chase something that doesn't last. This endless chasing creates stress and anxiety. We believe that happiness lies in obtaining things, but the true path to peace lies in letting go of our attachment to them. To overcome cravings, we must practice mindfulness. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts and desires without getting caught up in them. When a craving arises, instead of acting on it immediately, we pause. We notice it, acknowledge it, and then decide whether we need to pursue it. We can ask ourselves, is this desire coming from a place of genuine need, or is it just a passing thought? By being mindful of our cravings, we can distance ourselves from them and stop letting them control us. Imagine you are sitting peacefully and a craving arises. It could be for food, attention, or even a certain feeling of security. In that moment, instead of rushing to fulfill that craving, you simply breathe. You observe the craving as it rises and passes, knowing that it is like a cloud in the sky, temporary and ever-changing. You do not need to chase it or react to it. You are simply present with your feelings and thoughts, allowing them to come and go without attachment. The Buddha taught that the root cause of suffering is desire, but not just any desire. The desire that arises from attachment. When we cling to something, believing it will bring us lasting happiness, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The only thing that is constant in life is change. The people we love, the possessions we have, and even our own bodies will eventually change or fade away. This is the nature of life. Understanding this truth helps us let go of attachments and cravings. Let's explore this through a simple example. Imagine a child with a favorite toy. This toy brings them great joy. But as the child grows, they no longer find joy in that toy. They've outgrown it. The toy, once the source of happiness, now lies forgotten in a corner. Just like this toy, our desires can change as we grow. The things that once brought us happiness no longer hold the same value. Yet, if we cling to them, we remain stuck in the past, unable to move forward and embrace new experiences. Letting go of cravings is not about denying ourselves pleasure or joy. It is about recognizing that these things are not the source of true happiness. True happiness comes from within, from being content with who we are, as we are, in the present moment. It's about releasing the need to seek happiness in external things, and learning to find peace within ourselves, no matter what is happening around us. One powerful practice in Buddhism is letting go. releasing our attachment to the things we desire and learning to be content with what we have. This doesn't mean we stop pursuing goals or dreams, but we do so without clinging to the outcome. We work hard, but we remain unattached to whether or not we achieve what we desire. We do our best, knowing that whatever happens is not the measure of our worth or happiness. Our happiness comes from within, from the acceptance of life as it is. The next time a craving arises, whether it's for food, success, or something else, try to observe it without judgment. Notice how it feels in your body. Does it create tension or restlessness? Do you feel a pull towards something outside yourself? Instead of rushing to satisfy it, breathe deeply and let it pass. You will find that with practice, these cravings lose their power over you. By letting go of cravings and attachments, we create space for peace and contentment to enter our lives. This practice frees us from the cycle of desire and suffering, allowing us to experience the world as it truly is, impermanent, ever-changing, and beautiful in its own way. When we stop clinging, we open ourselves to a deeper, more lasting happiness that comes from within. Remember, the path to freedom from cravings is not about rejecting desires or living in denial. It's about understanding the impermanence of all things and finding satisfaction within ourselves, regardless of what is happening in the external world. The more we practice letting go, the more we realize that our true happiness does not depend on anything outside of us. It lies within. In the end, overcoming cravings and attachments is a process. It takes time, patience, and practice. But with each step, you move closer to mastering yourself, finding peace, and living a life free from the endless chase for more. The journey is long, but every small step forward brings you closer to the freedom and peace you seek. Cultivating discipline through the Eightfold Path. Discipline is not something that comes easily to most. It is not about forcing yourself into a rigid pattern of behavior, but about learning to flow with life, to be present, and to act with purpose. Discipline, when understood deeply, is an act of kindness toward yourself. It is the ability to stay true to your intentions, even when distractions arise. The question is, how can we cultivate this kind of discipline? In the teachings of Buddhism, we find a guide, the Eightfold Path. It is a roadmap for living a life of balance, clarity, and wisdom. But how does this path help us develop discipline in our daily lives? To begin, we must understand that discipline is not about controlling every moment. Rather, it is about aligning our actions with deeper values, so that every step we take leads us toward greater peace and harmony. The first step in the Eightfold Path is right view. This means seeing the world as it truly is, not through the lens of our personal biases, fears, or desires. Right view teaches us to see that everything is impermanent, everything changes, and everything is interconnected. When we understand this, we start to see that our actions have consequences. The way we treat others, the way we treat ourselves, everything matters. The more we understand the nature of reality, the more we begin to act with discipline, knowing that every thought, word, and action creates the world we live in. The second step is right intention. Right intention is about having a clear, compassionate purpose behind everything we do. It's about setting our mind in the right direction, with kindness and understanding. When our intentions are pure, we are less likely to get lost in distractions, temptations, or the endless cycle of seeking approval. Right intention allows us to move forward with clarity, making choices that align with our deeper values. This kind of discipline comes naturally when we live with a clear sense of purpose. The third step is right speech. This is a powerful practice. The words we speak can either build or destroy. Right speech asks us to speak truthfully, kindly, and constructively. It reminds us to pause before speaking and to consider the impact of our words. When we speak with mindfulness, we build trust, compassion, and understanding. Our speech reflects our inner discipline. If we can be disciplined with our words, we can be disciplined in other areas of our lives as well. Next comes right action. Right action is the practice of living ethically. It's about acting in ways that are helpful and compassionate, not harmful. In Buddhism, we are encouraged to refrain from actions that cause suffering to ourselves or others. This means practicing generosity, honesty, and kindness in every situation. When we live with right action, we feel at peace with ourselves, knowing that we are doing no harm. This is another way discipline flows naturally into our lives. The fifth step is right livelihood. Right livelihood teaches us that the work we do should be in harmony with our values and should not cause harm to others. It's about choosing a profession or way of life that supports not just our own well-being, but the well-being of the world around us. When our work is aligned with our values, we feel a sense of fulfillment, and discipline becomes a natural extension of this alignment. The sixth step is right effort. Right effort is the practice of cultivating positive qualities in our minds and hearts. It's about making an effort to overcome negative thoughts, behaviors, and habits, while simultaneously cultivating qualities like patience, compassion, and wisdom. Discipline is built on consistent effort, and when we focus on making right efforts each day, we create lasting change. Right effort requires us to be patient with ourselves, knowing that true transformation takes time. Right mindfulness is the seventh step. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment. It's about observing our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment, just noticing what is happening without getting lost in it. Right mindfulness is the foundation of all discipline. When we are mindful, we are able to make conscious choices instead of reacting impulsively. We become aware of the patterns in our minds and can begin to break free from old habits that no longer serve us. Finally, we come to right concentration. Right concentration is the practice of focusing the mind, developing deep states of meditation, and cultivating inner calm. It is through concentration that we can develop the mental discipline needed to stay present and act with clarity in all situations. Concentration helps us direct our energy toward what truly matters. With right concentration, we gain the ability to focus on our goals, making disciplined progress on the path to self-mastery. The Eightfold Path is a powerful tool for cultivating discipline, but it's not something we can master overnight. It requires dedication, practice, and patience. Each step is interconnected, supporting the others. When we practice right view, right intention, right speech, and the rest, we are not just building external discipline. We are transforming ourselves from the inside out. The discipline we cultivate through the Eightfold Path is not rigid or oppressive. Instead, it is a form of freedom, the freedom to live in alignment with our true nature. As we apply these principles to our daily lives, we begin to experience a shift. We no longer feel pulled by every distraction or overwhelmed by the chaos of the world. Instead, we begin to act with purpose, clarity, and compassion. We develop the discipline to choose wisely, to act ethically, and to live in harmony with ourselves and others. True discipline is not about controlling everything around us. It is about mastering ourselves, our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. When we practice the Eightfold Path, we create a solid foundation for this self-mastery. We learn to live with integrity, to make choices that are in line with our values, and to navigate life's challenges with grace and wisdom. Remember, self-mastery is a journey, not a destination. It is a lifelong practice. But with the Eightfold Path as our guide, we can steadily move toward a life of greater peace, balance, and discipline. Each step we take brings us closer to the true mastery of ourselves. This is the essence of Buddhist practice. Not to escape from the world, but to engage with it fully, with clarity, compassion, and a disciplined mind. When we master ourselves, we are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances. We are the masters of our thoughts, our emotions, and our lives. And in that mastery we find freedom, embracing impermanence for inner freedom. In the vastness of the universe, there is one truth that stands above all else. Everything changes. The moment you hear these words, you may think, yes, everything changes. But do you truly understand what that means in your heart? The Buddha taught us that life is impermanent. Nothing stays the same. The people you meet, the experiences you have, the feelings you experience, all these things are in constant flux. Think of a river flowing. The water that passes by this very moment will never be the same again. It flows, changes, and continues, just like your life. Today, you may be in one situation, feeling one way, but tomorrow, everything could be different. This is the law of impermanence. Now, you may wonder, if everything changes, then what can I hold on to? What is real and lasting? The answer lies not in trying to hold on to things, but in accepting that change is natural and even beautiful. The beauty of life comes from its fluidity, its ever-changing nature. If you try to stop the river from flowing, it will only cause struggle. But when you learn to flow with the current, you will find peace. Many of us become attached to things. Our desires, our relationships, our material possessions. We hold on to them tightly, as if they are the only things that give us stability. But the more we cling to them, the more we suffer. Why? Because nothing in this world is permanent. People change, circumstances shift, and objects wear out. If we place our happiness and peace on things that change, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Consider this. Imagine you have a favorite cup, one that you love dearly. Over time, it may chip, crack, or even break. If you hold on to it with the expectation that it will always be perfect, you will suffer when it is no longer the way you want it. But if you understand that imperfection is part of life, you can enjoy the cup while it lasts and let it go gracefully when the time comes. This is what embracing impermanence teaches us: how to let go. When we accept that everything changes, we begin to release our grip on things. Instead of holding on to a past that is already gone or a future that has not yet come, we learn to live fully in the present moment. The present is the only moment that is real. It is where life unfolds, where you breathe, where you feel, and where you act. To embrace impermanence is to free yourself from the fear of loss. When you understand that nothing lasts forever, you stop fearing change. You learn to cherish the moments you have, to appreciate the people in your life, and to make the most of every opportunity. Life becomes more meaningful because you know it is fleeting, and in that fleetingness, you find its true beauty. The Buddhist teachings on impermanence are not meant to make you feel hopeless. Instead, they offer a path to freedom. When you release your attachments and stop clinging to the idea that things must stay the same, you free yourself from suffering. You no longer need to worry about what you might lose, because you understand that change is inevitable and even necessary for growth. Think of the seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. They all come and go. Each season brings something new. In spring, flowers bloom, and in autumn, leaves fall. Every season has its own beauty, but it would not be the same if it did not change. Life is the same. If it did not change, it would become stagnant. Growth only happens when things change. We can use this understanding to create peace in our own lives. When things are going well, appreciate them deeply, but remember that this too shall pass. And when times are tough, remember that change is coming. Just as the winter will eventually give way to spring, your difficult times will pass. This is the natural cycle of life. Embrace it. The key to embracing impermanence is mindfulness. It is being fully aware of the present moment, without clinging to it or rejecting it. When you are mindful, you see life as it is, without attachment. You experience joy without grasping at it, and you face sorrow without trying to escape it. This is true freedom. When you begin to live with an awareness of impermanence, your fears begin to dissolve. You no longer fear the future, because you know it will change. You no longer mourn the past, because you know it is gone. Instead, you learn to live fully in the now, appreciating every breath, every moment, and every experience as it comes. Let's take a moment to reflect on the things in your life that you are holding on to. Are there relationships that no longer serve you? Are there past regrets or future anxieties that you continue to carry? Are there desires that consume you, even though you know they cannot bring lasting happiness? Recognize them, see them for what they are, temporary, and then, gently, let them go. In Buddhism, this letting go is called detachment. But detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You allow things to come and go freely, like clouds passing through the sky. You appreciate them while they are there, but you do not hold on to them when they are gone. This is true freedom. When you embrace impermanence, you also open yourself to the beauty of each moment. Life becomes more vibrant, more meaningful, and more peaceful. You stop rushing to the next thing, because you realize that this moment is enough. You are enough. In accepting change, you discover the unchanging truth of your own being. You are a part of the flow of life, and you are one with all that is. This is the power of impermanence. It teaches you to be present, to live fully, and to release your attachments. And in doing so, it gives you the freedom to experience life as it truly is, constantly changing, constantly unfolding, and constantly beautiful. When you truly understand that everything changes, you no longer resist life. You flow with it, and in this flow, you find peace. Embrace the impermanence of all things, and you will discover the freedom to live without fear, without attachment, and without regret. This is the wisdom of the Buddha. This is the path to true inner freedom, the art of letting go, mastery over ego. To master oneself, one must first understand the ego. The ego is the self-identity we build throughout our lives, shaped by our thoughts, experiences, and desires. But do you know that this ego, the sense of I and me, is the root cause of much of our suffering? When we cling too tightly to this sense of self, we create unnecessary conflict with the world around us. The first step in mastering ourselves is to learn how to let go of this attachment to the ego. Consider a tree in the wind. The tree does not fight the wind. It bends and sways, allowing the force to pass through it. It does not hold on to any fixed shape or resistance. The wind, like the world around us, will continue to change. It will blow hard or softly, but the tree simply bends and flows with it. It remains rooted in its place, but is not rigid in its shape. So too should we approach life, rooted in our values and understanding, yet flexible and open to the ever-changing nature of existence. In Buddhism, the concept of non-attachment is central to understanding this. Non-attachment does not mean detachment or indifference. It means we no longer cling to things, experiences, or even our own thoughts as if they define us. Imagine how freeing that would be. When we let go of our attachment to our image, to our sense of superiority or inferiority, we no longer feel threatened by others. The need to prove ourselves vanishes, and in its place is peace. Now, this doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent to life. On the contrary, it means we engage with life without the burden of ego. We act out of wisdom, compassion, and clarity, not from a need to preserve our sense of self. It is only when we let go of the need to always be right, to always be in control, that we can truly open ourselves to the flow of life. We can embrace each moment without fear of losing our self-image. Take a moment and think. When was the last time you argued simply to be right? Or perhaps you stayed silent out of pride, unwilling to admit when you were wrong? How much energy did that take? How much of your life did you spend trying to protect your ego? The truth is, all that effort is wasted. It does not bring you peace, nor does it bring you closer to true happiness. But letting go, even just a little, can bring a profound sense of freedom. Letting go of ego is not something that happens overnight. It is a practice. The Buddha taught that we must practice mindfulness to understand our thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. When you feel anger rising, you don't need to react. Instead, recognize that this anger is just a passing feeling, not who you are. When you feel pride swelling in your chest, observe it as a moment of the mind, not your identity. This is the key to overcoming the ego, recognizing that our thoughts and feelings do not define us. Imagine you are holding a heavy bag filled with stones. Each stone represents a thought, a desire, or an attachment to the ego. You hold this bag tightly because it's yours, and you don't want to let go. But over time, the weight of this bag becomes unbearable. Your shoulders ache, your back hurts, and you feel exhausted. If only you would release the bag, you would find relief. In the same way, when we release our attachment to ego, we free ourselves from the burden of unnecessary suffering. Letting go of the ego does not mean losing yourself. On the contrary, it means discovering your true self. When you are no longer defined by your thoughts, your status, or your possessions, you are free to experience life fully, without the barriers of self-importance. You no longer need to prove your worth to anyone, because you already know your worth. You are not defined by what you have, or what you have done. You are simply and beautifully you. There is a beautiful teaching in Buddhism called anatta, or no self. It teaches that there is no permanent, unchanging self. What we think of as me is merely a collection of experiences, thoughts, and feelings that arise and pass away. When we stop clinging to the illusion of a fixed self, we begin to experience life with greater clarity and freedom. We realize that we are not separate from the world around us, but are a part of it, interconnected with everything. To let go of the ego, we must also cultivate humility. Humility is not about seeing ourselves as less than others. It is about seeing ourselves as equal to others, understanding that we are all part of the same vast, interconnected whole. When we let go of the ego, we can begin to see others as they truly are, not as competitors or threats to our sense of self, but as fellow travelers on the same journey. One of the most profound ways to let go of the ego is through compassion. When we begin to see the suffering of others, we no longer need to focus solely on our own. Compassion allows us to dissolve the boundaries we have created between ourselves and others. When you act out of compassion, you are not concerned with what you will gain or lose. You act simply because it is the right thing to do. In the practice of meditation, letting go of the ego becomes clearer. As you sit in stillness, you may notice your mind racing with thoughts, stories, and images. These are all part of the ego, trying to define who you are and what you should be. But if you sit quietly and observe, you begin to see that these thoughts are not you. They are fleeting, temporary visitors in the mind. When you stop identifying with them, you create space for the true self to emerge. This process of letting go is a continual one. Every time you notice your ego rising, whether in the form of jealousy, pride, anger, or fear, take a moment to pause and recognize it. Breathe deeply and let go of the need to identify with it. Over time, this practice becomes easier, and you will find yourself reacting less and less out of ego. Instead, you will respond with wisdom, understanding, and peace. The ego thrives on comparison. It tells us we are better than others or less than others, and we base our self-worth on this comparison. But true mastery comes when we stop comparing ourselves to anyone. You are not better or worse than anyone else. You are simply you. When we let go of the need to compare, we embrace who we truly are, and in that acceptance, we find freedom. Another way to master the art of letting go is by accepting impermanence. Everything in life is in constant flux. Our thoughts, our feelings, our circumstances, they are all changing. When we hold on tightly to something, we are resisting the natural flow of life. The more we accept change, the more we can let go of our attachment to things, ideas, and even people. This does not mean we stop caring or loving. It simply means we stop trying to control the uncontrollable. So, as you move through life, remember the words of the Buddha, "Let go, and you will find peace." The art of letting go is not about giving up, it's about finding freedom. It's about releasing the weight of unnecessary burdens so that you can experience life fully, with an open heart and mind. By letting go of the ego, you not only master yourself, but you also open the door to a life of greater happiness, love, and peace. Balancing wisdom and compassion in daily life. In our everyday lives, we face constant choices, small decisions that shape our paths. Sometimes we're quick to judge, quick to act, or quick to feel frustrated. But true mastery over oneself comes not just from wisdom or knowledge alone, but from learning to balance wisdom with compassion in everything we do. Imagine you're walking through your day, interacting with people, dealing with work, family, and responsibilities. In these moments, we often forget to pause and reflect. We might get caught up in the rush of things, reacting without thinking, but a person who practices balance knows that wisdom doesn't only come from what we know. It comes from understanding the nature of the world and seeing things as they are, without judgment. When wisdom is balanced with compassion, we begin to see the world with a clearer vision, without the cloud of anger or greed. We learn to understand the suffering of others, and, instead of reacting harshly, we respond with kindness. This is the true power of balancing wisdom and compassion. The Buddha teaches us that wisdom is not just intellectual knowledge. It is the deep understanding of life, of how everything is interconnected, and of how suffering arises. But wisdom alone can feel cold, detached, and distant. That's where compassion comes in. Compassion is the ability to connect with others, to feel their pain, and to act in a way that helps ease their suffering. Without compassion, wisdom can become an excuse for indifference. Let's take a moment and think about how we react when we see someone in distress. Do we offer help, or do we turn away, feeling that it's not our problem? A wise person, balanced with compassion, sees someone in need and recognizes that their suffering is not separate from their own. They understand that helping others is part of the path to true happiness. This is not about giving everything you have, nor is it about being passive and accepting injustice. It is about responding with the right action at the right time, with a heart that understands, not just a mind that judges. Balancing wisdom and compassion doesn't mean you should always put others before yourself. It means learning to take care of yourself so that you have the strength and clarity to care for others. It's about being aware of your own feelings, your own needs, while also recognizing that others have their own struggles and emotions. Take the example of a teacher. A wise teacher knows their subject, but they also understand the individual struggles of their students. They don't just stand at the front of the room, lecturing. They listen to their students, offer guidance, and act with patience. The balance of wisdom and compassion allows them to teach not just with knowledge, but with kindness and understanding. Likewise, in your own life, you must learn to balance your own needs with the needs of others. It's not always easy. Sometimes, life can seem overwhelming, and the needs of others can pull you in many directions. But remember that compassion does not mean saying yes to everything. It means responding with kindness while maintaining healthy boundaries. For example, when a friend asks for help, you might feel obligated to say yes, even when you're already overwhelmed. But compassion also involves being honest. If you're not able to help in the way they expect, you can explain your limitations kindly, without guilt. True compassion doesn't sacrifice your well-being for others, but it offers support in a way that doesn't leave you drained. In Buddhism, the concept of karuna, compassion, is closely tied to prajna, wisdom. Together, they form the foundation of right action. When we act with wisdom and compassion, we make decisions that are not just good for us, but good for the world around us. This idea can be applied to your everyday interactions. Think about how you talk to your loved ones, your colleagues, and even strangers. How do you respond when someone cuts you off in traffic, or when a colleague criticizes you at work? Wisdom teaches us to not take things personally, to recognize the impermanence of all situations, and to act without anger. Compassion teaches us to see the other person's perspective, to understand their frustration, and to respond with patience. The Buddhist teachings also remind us that suffering is a part of life. We will all face moments of difficulty, pain, and confusion. But when wisdom and compassion are present, we can face these challenges with a peaceful mind. Wisdom helps us to see the bigger picture, and compassion helps us to respond with care and understanding. The balance between wisdom and compassion is not a fixed state. It is something that requires constant practice, constant reflection, and constant awareness. It's about being present in each moment and choosing to act with kindness, understanding, and clarity. Every day, we are given opportunities to practice this balance. Whether it's with a smile for a stranger, a listening ear for a friend, or a moment of patience with ourselves, it's easy to get caught up in the demands of life, to forget about the importance of this balance. But when we make the effort to practice it, even in small ways, we create a life that is more peaceful, more fulfilling, and more connected. Consider a moment of conflict, perhaps with a loved one. Wisdom tells you that arguments are often the result of misunderstanding, and compassion tells you that this person is struggling too. Instead of reacting with anger or defense, you respond with understanding. You listen. You offer support. You allow the conversation to unfold with patience, and in doing so, you transform the conflict into an opportunity for deeper connection. In your work, balancing wisdom and compassion can be as simple as taking a step back and observing your reactions before you respond. When a difficult situation arises, take a breath. Ask yourself, what does wisdom tell me about this situation? What does compassion ask of me? From this place, you'll find yourself acting more skillfully, more peacefully, and more effectively. This balance doesn't just affect how we relate to others. It also affects how we relate to ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics, judging ourselves for every mistake, every failure. But wisdom teaches us that we are all imperfect beings, constantly learning and growing. Compassion reminds us to be gentle with ourselves, to offer understanding when we fall short, and to encourage ourselves to keep moving forward. The path to mastering yourself is not about perfection. It is about progress. And as you continue to practice balancing wisdom with compassion, you will find that you move through the world with more peace, more clarity, and more joy. Remember, every moment offers a new chance to practice this balance. Whether you're facing challenges at work, with your family, or within yourself, you have the power to respond with wisdom and compassion. Each moment is an opportunity to choose peace, to choose kindness, and to choose understanding. When you learn to balance these two qualities, you'll find that your life begins to transform in ways you never imagined. And so, the journey to mastering yourself continues. It is a path that requires patience, but one that leads to lasting peace, true happiness, and a deeper connection with the world around you. Finding peace in the present moment. The present moment is all we truly have, yet most of us live as if it doesn't exist. Our minds wander endlessly, replaying the past or rehearsing the future. But ask yourself, can you breathe yesterday's air? Can you touch tomorrow's sun? Life only happens here, now. To master yourself, you must first learn to live fully in the present. Think of your mind as a restless monkey, jumping from one branch of thought to another. When you let it wander unchecked, it exhausts you. But when you gently guide it back to the here and now, you find stillness. This is the first step toward mastering the present moment, acknowledging that your mind is not your enemy, but an untamed ally waiting for your direction. Close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. Feel the air as it enters your lungs and notice the life it brings. In that single breath, you are here, alive, and complete. This is the power of the present, a moment so simple, yet so profound that it holds the key to peace. Buddhism teaches us that suffering arises when we resist the present. Perhaps you are stuck in regret over a mistake or anxious about what might happen tomorrow. These feelings pull you away from the now. To find peace, you must let go of the grip of what was and what if. Allow yourself to rest in the only time that truly exists, this moment. A simple way to anchor yourself in the present is through mindfulness. For example, when you eat, truly eat. Notice the taste, the texture, the act of nourishing your body. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet. These small acts of mindfulness bring you back to the now, reminding you that life is not a series of rushed tasks, but a collection of moments to be savored. But what about pain or discomfort in the present? The answer lies in acceptance. Imagine holding a glass of water. If you grip it tightly, your hand begins to ache. But if you hold it lightly, the weight becomes bearable. Similarly, when you accept the present moment without resistance, even discomfort loses its power over you. The present is also where joy lives. Think of a child playing in a park, completely absorbed in the moment. They are not worried about what happened yesterday or what might come tomorrow. In that play, they are free. You too can reclaim this freedom by immersing yourself in the now. Often, we wait for external circumstances to align before we allow ourselves to feel at peace. I'll be happy when I get that promotion, we say, or I'll relax once this problem is solved. But peace is not something to be found in the future. It is a choice you make in the present. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell on the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." These words hold the essence of self-mastery. By focusing your attention on the now, you dissolve the grip of distractions and step into your power. Nature is a great teacher of living in the present. Watch a river flow or a bird in flight. They are not weighed down by regrets or plans. They simply exist in harmony with what is. Let nature remind you of the simplicity and beauty of being present. But being present does not mean ignoring the past or future altogether. Instead, it means not letting them control you. Learn from the past, plan for the future, but live in the now. This balance is the key to a peaceful and fulfilling life. One challenge you might face is impatience. Perhaps you're sitting in traffic or waiting in line, feeling restless. These moments are perfect opportunities to practice presence. Instead of fighting the wait, embrace it. Feel your breath, observe your surroundings, and let go of the urge to be somewhere else. Another obstacle is technology. Phones, notifications, and endless scrolling pull us away from the present. While these tools have their place, they should not dominate your attention. Set boundaries. Take moments to disconnect from the digital world and reconnect with yourself. Self-mastery begins with awareness. Notice when your mind drifts away from the present. Gently bring it back, like guiding a wandering child home. With practice, this awareness becomes second nature, and the present moment becomes your refuge. Understand that the present is not always perfect, but it is always enough. Even in moments of pain or uncertainty, there is something to be grateful for: a breath, a heartbeat, a chance to begin again. Gratitude anchors you in the now, reminding you of the gifts life offers moment by moment. In mastering the present, you also master your emotions. When you are fully present, you can observe feelings like anger or sadness without being consumed by them. You become the watcher, not the one who is controlled. This space between you and your emotions is where peace resides. The journey to mastering the present is not about perfection but practice. Some days, your mind will wander more than others, and that's okay. Gently return to the now, as many times as it takes. Each moment is a new opportunity to begin again. Imagine a life where you are no longer ruled by the chaos of thoughts or the pull of distractions. A life where you can truly experience each moment, connect deeply with others, and find joy in the simplest of things. This is the gift of living in the present. Let today be the day you start this practice. As you finish this part of the journey, pause for a moment. Feel the breath in your lungs, the ground beneath your feet, the life within you. This is your moment. Live it fully, becoming the master of your destiny, the final step. Listen closely, my dear friend. You have traveled far on this path. Through reflection, mindfulness, and courage, you've begun to understand yourself in ways you never thought possible. But now we stand at the last step, the most important one of all. This is where all the wisdom, practice, and patience you have cultivated come together. This is where you take charge of your destiny. Let me ask you a question. Who holds the key to your happiness? Is it the world? Is it other people? Or is it you? Think deeply. Every moment you've spent chasing external things, success, validation, material comfort, has it brought you lasting peace? Or has it left you yearning for more? Imagine a river flowing endlessly. You cannot stop it. You cannot control its course. But you can decide how you respond to it. Will you let it carry you away? Or will you learn to swim with it? This river is life. It flows, whether you want it to or not. To master yourself, you must learn to swim with the current, not against it. Now, you may ask, how can I truly master my destiny? The answer is simple yet profound. By mastering your mind. Your mind shapes your reality. If your thoughts are scattered, so too will your life be. But if your mind is clear and steady, you will walk your path with purpose. Start each day with awareness. Before the sun rises, sit in silence. Breathe. Feel the rhythm of your breath. Let it remind you that you are alive, here and now. This moment is your greatest treasure. It is in this moment that you can shape your future. When challenges come, and they will, do not run from them. Face them with calmness. Understand that every obstacle is a lesson, every difficulty an opportunity to grow. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow stronger? This is how a master thinks. Do not be afraid of failure. Failure is not the end. It is a step forward. Even the greatest masters have stumbled. What made them great was not that they never fell, but that they always got up. You, too, must rise each time you fall. Let go of what you cannot control. There will be days when things do not go as planned. People may misunderstand you. Circumstances may frustrate you. But remember, your power lies not in controlling the world, but in controlling your response. When you let go of what you cannot change, you make room for peace. Do not compare your journey with others. Your path is your own. Someone may seem ahead, and another may seem behind. But these are illusions. You are exactly where you need to be. Walk your path with confidence. Trust in the process. Remember compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. You will make mistakes. You will feel doubt. That is okay. Be kind to yourself, just as you would be kind to a friend. When you are gentle with yourself, you allow growth to happen naturally. Gratitude is the master's secret weapon. Every morning, give thanks for the life you have. Even in difficult times, find one thing, just one thing, to be grateful for. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. It brings contentment to the heart. Let us not forget the power of patience. True mastery takes time. Do not rush. A tree does not grow overnight. It takes years for its roots to deepen, for its branches to reach the sky. Your growth is the same. Be patient. Trust that the work you are doing will bear fruit. Now, let us talk about the ultimate freedom, letting go of fear. Fear binds the heart. It limits your potential. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Why am I holding back? When you face your fears, you take away their power. Freedom lies in courage. Remember, mastery is not about perfection. It is about progress. Each day, strive to be a little better than you were yesterday. Even small steps lead to great distances over time. And finally, never stop learning. The journey of self-mastery does not end. Each day brings new lessons, new opportunities to grow. Stay curious. Stay open. Life is the greatest teacher of all. Before we part, let me remind you of this. You are capable of far more than you know. Within you is the strength, wisdom, and courage to master yourself and your destiny. All you need to do is believe. Take the first step. The path is waiting for you. Now, if you have found wisdom in this journey, if these words have touched your heart, I humbly ask you to share this with others. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Let us spread this light together and help others find their path to mastery. This is not the end, my friend. This is a new beginning. The journey of self-mastery continues. Walk forward with courage, clarity, and compassion. The master within you is ready to rise.